Alright, my name is Dave Wishart, and I am doing the apprentice level hive inspection practical assessment rubric. So the first item on this is to light the smoker, and for that I'm going to use some pine straw, just kind of loosely packed, and just kind of fold this so it'll fit down into the bottom of the smoker and I get it lit. I push it in there a little bit and then get it lit. Just let that start burning. And since it's loose, it'll go down in there pretty easy. Give it some air. And then once that's pretty lit, which it looks like it is getting there, then I go ahead and start putting more pine straw in. Just kind of pack this in there. I usually like to pack the smoker pretty full. This particular inspection I'm only doing one hive, but sometimes I'm doing more than one, and I don't usually like to relight the smoker once I get going, so I try to pack it pretty full and throw a pine cone in there. Those usually help with the longevity. And just kind of pack the pine straw down in while I'm giving it air. Pine straw usually works really well. This pine straw is pretty dry right now, so I don't think I'm going to have any problems today. Sometimes when the pine straw is wet, it can be a bit of a challenge, but I do try to keep this little bag in my shed with some dry straw in it, just to help keep it, help make sure that I have a supply of some dry. And this is pretty packed, so this will probably be the last little bit that I put in there. I usually, again, just try to pack it in there as tightly as I can and keep giving it air. And just keep pushing that down in there and giving it air. Okay. That's that. And then the last thing I do, which I know is not in the video, but I kind of like to do this. I think I might have seen it online, but is to take a little bit of grass, just some green grass, and I put it right in the nozzle of the smoker, just to help kind of cool the smoke down a little bit. And then if I get to the top of the smoker and it starts spitting out sparks, that grass will catch those sparks and keep them from flying into the beehive or anywhere else. And with that, the smoker appears to be lit. I have this little plug I use to just turn it off, so I'll fasten this to make sure that it stays out of the way. And the smoker is lit. So gather up all of these tools and these things away. And then the next item is the PPE, and I like to wear a full suit. I don't like getting stung, and I guess I'm a little not afraid of bees, but I just don't like getting stung. So with that, making sure that guy has plenty of air until I'm sure that it's completely lit. But I zip myself up and then pull the hood over. bit. Okay, and then finally I put on the gloves. These do make it a little bit more difficult to handle the frames. Sometimes I use a frame grabber to help lift them out of the hive, but today I'm just going to lift them out with my hands, my gloved hands, and do this hive inspection. So get these gloves on. And I have handled them without the gloves on before, but I'm a little chicken of getting stung, so I don't like to do that. So, okay. So the smoker is lit, and it looks like it's lit pretty good. And the PPE I have on, so I'm all zipped up and ready to go with gloves and a veil. And let's go look at the beehive. And one that I'm going to inspect today is going to be this one right here. And this hive is doing fairly well for the fall. So first thing that I'm going to do,
Just your volume.
Oh, my volume. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is just give a couple of puffs of smoke right in the entrance, not a lot, just a little bit, and make sure that that gets in there, and then just a little around the sides, and then just give it a minute. And what do I do with the hive tool? I'll be right back. I think I have this one. I'm gonna go grab the other one.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. All right, so with that, I think enough time has passed. So we'll go ahead and open up this beehive. So sometimes the tops of them can be stuck on. This top's not too bad. Got a few bees on top of the inner cover. So when I take this inner cover off, a lot of times I'll get hive beetles. They like to be on the inside of the inner cover. So just crack this off, open it up. Yeah, there's a few hive beetles. Let me just kind of take care of them a little bit. The bees herd them up, and I like to do my part in trying to eliminate them as well. So we've got that, and then let's see, use a hive tool, which I keep dropping. Okay, so on top here I have a honey super, and this one actually has capped honey in it when I looked at it a couple of weeks ago. So we can just pull one of these frames out and take a look, and then I'm going to take the whole lot of frames, the whole box, and just set it to the side. But here we can see got capped honey and a bunch of worker bees. These are all female bees, all workers, and they're taking care of this. And I also see some uncapped, so there's some nectar still going in right at the top. A little hive beetle there. Oh, he's gonna get away. But that's what I've got in this upper super. So let me just sit this back in, and then I'm going to take the upper hive body off. Tool here. I like to use this one kind of as a pry bar. It lets me lift one side of the box off. I'll just set that up. All right, so what I have here then is the queen excluder. So I'm going to take the queen excluder off, and then we'll start taking a look. So I guess as far as the hive parts are concerned, we've got the hive bottom here, and then I have a little separator here. This is a slat board. It just provides some space at the bottom for the bees, just to kind of lounge around. It's not really necessary, but I like to keep it when the hive gets full. I think it gives a little extra space. Hive bodies, I've got a full-size hive body here, and that's really all I have for these bees at that point in time with regards to hive bodies. I have the super, and I believe this is a shallow, although sometimes when I'm not looking at them side by side, it's hard for me to tell, but I believe this is a shallow. It might be a medium super. And then I have the queen excluder. Here I have the cover, which I already took off, as a telescoping cover. And then this is the inner cover that I'm holding up here. And that goes immediately on top of the frames. So that's the hive parts that I've got. So let me take this queen excluder off. And when I do that, I usually will take a look at the other side of it just to make sure that the queen hasn't gotten onto it. I don't like taking her out of the hive unnecessarily. And a quick look, I don't see the queen, so I'm just gonna bounce some of these bees off of that back into the hive. And we'll set this aside. And then let's take a look at, the frames, and we'll also take a look at the different bees that are in there, as well as the brood. So for me, I have this frame holder, this external frame holder, and I like to just set it here on the side. That way the frames can just rest on this while I'm doing the inspection. And for this now, what I'm going to do is just create some space here between my first and my second frame, and then use this hook to get under that second frame. Go ahead and pull it up. Okay. And here's what I have with this frame is worker bees, and then this all looks like honey that they've started to uncap here. So that's all capped honey. I guess they're actually beginning to cap it, but that's what that is all capped honey. And then there's also some nectar. I don't know if you can see the nectar kind of under the cappings, but is inside of those cells. And then again, a bunch of worker bees, all females, and no sign of the queen here. And I wouldn't really expect to see the queen here. I would expect to see her more in the middle of the hive where there is brood and eggs. So that's what I've got. And again, these are all female bees, all worker bees. So let me set this in my frame rest. Then I'm going to go for this second hive. Let me just give them a little light puff of smoke here. Doesn't take a lot, and these bees are pretty gentle. they're not very flighty, which is good. I have my hives in a backyard, so the last thing I need is a bunch of very aggressive, flighty honeybees. Go spoil my neighbor's afternoon cookout. And again, when I look at this, I see some capped honey. I see some nectar kind of in the bottom below the capped honey. A bunch of female worker bees on the other side. It's really the same thing, a bunch of female worker bees. I see, looks like I see a drone here. There's a drone right there. That's a male bee. He's right there. That's a male bee. Actually, it looks like a couple of them, but that one's right there. So there's probably going to be some male brood in here. So this one, just drop it back into the hive. And then as I inspect these frames, get my gloves up for them there. As I inspect these frames, I dropped it a little bit, that irritated him some. Just give it another light dusting of smoke. Keep him happy. Okay, so let's take a look now at this third frame. All right. So this is a nice looking frame. What I see here is capped brood. Here I see honey around the outside edges. Let me get out of my shadow. Honey around the outside edges, so capped honey. I see some capped brood. And then if you look into, let's see here, I think maybe this cell right here, I don't know if you can see in there or not, you can see a little C-shaped larvae. Can you see that? Let me see. It's like right where this one bee is, if I can get it to move out of the way, right? Right in that cell right there. You see that? Little C-shaped larvae. I don't know if you can see that or not. So that is normal, good stuff. Let me see if I can find an egg, and we'll try to get that in the photo as well. Not really seeing any eggs here, but this is capped larva. This is or capped pupae, that is. All these capped cells, and then down here at the bottom is all pollen or bee bread, as they've already packed it in. And I see, for instance, this bee right here. She's bringing pollen into the hive right now. I see the nice big pollen bundles on her legs, and don't see the queen on this frame. Let me just flip it over to the other side, see if I see queen on this side of the frame. No, but she's been here though, because I've seen, oh yeah, that's another drone, that big guy right there. That's a drone. Okay, don't see the queen here either, but I do see capped honey. I do see pupae and C-shaped larvae, and don't see any eggs in there. Oh, actually I do see some eggs in there, but they're very hard to see. I don't know if we'll be able to really get down and see that or not. We'll see if I got a better frame. I'm sure I will as I get deeper into the hive. Okay, so that's what I've got, and then all of this honeycomb is made of wax. So that's all wax, all of this. I don't want to scrape too much of it, but but all of this honeycomb is wax. And then there's propolis also in the hive. The propolis is usually here. So this stuff, very sticky plant saps that they collect, and then they use it to seal up their hive and fill in any holes and gaps that are there that they don't like necessarily. So that's what I've got there. So let me just put this frame back in. Push it all the way there. And then let's give it another quick puff of smoke. Talked about workers and the drones, and I've shown examples of those. The larva I've shown with the C-shaped larva, and then the pupa with the cap cells. Let's see if I can find some drone pupa. The queen, maybe a queen cell or a queen cup, if there's any of those in here. So just kind of break this away from the edge. These guys. Too much damage with these bees. All right. So now on this frame, again, I see a lot of worker bees. I did see a drone just a second ago, but I lost him. But a lot of worker bees. Here is a queen cell, which is capped but also has a hole in the side, so looks like there might have been maybe a queen took care of that. And then these little bullet shaped cells, those are drone larvae. In fact, I see a drone chewing himself out right there, and that one you can see him moving around. But that's a queen cell. It's been opened up. And then on the other side, I actually do see a queen cup. So we can take a look actually here. Right there is a queen cup. And on the other side, I also saw a queen cup. So let's flip it over. Yeah, right here. So that's a queen cup, where the queen can lay an egg and they'll start producing a new queen. And I don't see the queen. I do see lots of capped pupa, and I do see, do I see any eggs in here? Yeah, the eggs are really, really tiny, but I do see a few. Let me see here if I can see them again. Took my eye off of them, I lost them. Okay, well, we'll just keep digging. We'll undoubtedly find a frame that's full of eggs, and we can take a look at those. Yep, there's a drone right there. That big guy right there. It's a male bee. All the rest of them are females. Okay. So that's this one. And we'll just put it back into the hive. And slide that over. All right. We'll pull another frame up. All right, so on this frame, I see, again, more pollen, and that's the orange colored stuff that's in there. I see lots of C-shaped larvae in there, also capped pupa, and see if we can see an egg in here as well. All right, let's see on that side. Let's go to this side. Okay, I don't see the queen here. Here I have lots of drone pupae right there. Those bullet-shaped capped cells. That's all drones. And not seeing the queen here. So, but I did see an egg a frame or so back. Let's see. Hopefully the next frame I'll be able to. And that's more propolis. Put it over there. Push that frame in tight. And I'm thinking, just kind of based on what I was seeing earlier, that you may see the queen on this frame. It seemed like when we opened it, this was about where the highest density of bees was. So I just lift it out of there very carefully. And take a look. And you see a few drones, lots of worker bees. And let's see here. Okay, still no queen to be seen. See a pest here potentially. That's a wax moth. Cocoon. All right.
We're at 30 minutes.
Okay. We're almost done. So we'll drop this one back in. Maybe she's on the next frame over. Continuing to look for eggs. I saw some on a couple of frames back. I was just hoping to find a frame that's more full of eggs. So here, and here.
Just watch your volume.
Okay, just break that frame free. And give them another puff of smoke. I usually just puff over the top of the frames, not necessarily down into the hive. And then I just let what's going to waft down in. So let's see what we got here. Again, lots of capped pupae. And still not seeing the queen. Oh, there she is. Right there. With that blue dot on her. And you can tell she kind of looks like a termite to me. She's looking for places to lay eggs. But that's the queen right there with the blue dot. And I usually mark them just so I know that they're mine. I think the queens are kind of easy to spot just based on their body. Their legs are fatter, their body's longer, also fatter. And the way they move also is a little different. But I mark them so I know that that queen is the queen that I put in the hive and not some feral queen that managed to either get into the hive or that they bred. Let's see, so this frame is likely to have some eggs on it if I can spot some. Yeah, there's some eggs in here. It's kind of hard to see them. The light's not that great either. But if you shine like right down into the bottom of that cell, right down into the bottom of that cell right there. There's the egg down in there. Right into the bottom of that one. It's kind of hard to see, huh, with the light. There's the egg in there. And there's more eggs around. Let me see. The light's getting a little bit low, so difficult to spot. And so there's some more over here. I don't know if you can see these or not. We're kind of in that area right there, and in there somewhere. Kind of scan around. And those white things are larvae, but if you see a little grain of rice, that's an egg. So there are some in there. I don't know if they're getting captured in that video. Yeah, it looks like there's a couple right there, maybe, or else that's maybe reflections of light. You can't really tell, but in any case, that's what we got. And let me just look again. This frame had the queen on it. I don't usually like to hold the frame with the queen out. There she is. So we'll drop her right back in. Alright, let's take a look at these last few frames, see what they look like. Maybe we'll get one that's full of eggs we can really show what those look like. me see, I want to kind of come over here where, see if I can get the light to shine down in there. I think I'm casting a shadow onto the, yeah, I see pupae and larvae, but I'm not seeing, well, I do see a few eggs right down here again. I think right down in there. Let's see. Okay, well, let me just, maybe I'll go back to that one frame where, but I don't see anything negative here. Lots of pollen on this frame. Some capped pupae, lots of larvae. Let's see here. The eggs are really hard to spot, actually. Let's see if I can get the sunlight. Yeah, I think we're casting our own shadows on this, unfortunately. Okay. So, I'll drop this one back down inside. Slide it over. Be careful not to crush any bees in the process. This one. And this one I just have wax. There's some pollen in there. And here, this is all, again, this is all beeswax they make those cells out of. And then this stuff here is propolis again. And they fill in, and there's more propolis here. So this stuff, usually when I get in here every couple of times, I'll scrape the propolis off and kind of clean it up a little bit. And on this side, I see some capped honey here, and then you can see nectar kind of in the bottom of that. There's pollen, plenty of pollen, and that's what I've got here on this frame. And there's a hive beetle right there. I'm just going to let the bees take care of him a little bit later. They'll chase him up into a location where they want him, kind of corralling, or her, whichever it is. All right. So let's put these out of there, push that together, and then the last frame. This is the 10th frame. So we'll pull it out. And this frame, what do we have here? Not a lot, just some drawn out wax comb on plastic foundation. And then on this side, same thing, just some drawn out wax comb. You can see some nectar in there. And that's pretty much it. There's a drone right there, as compared to a worker bee that he's right next to. There's a drone, there's a worker bee. So the drones are a little bit bigger. And so that's that. Now let me see. So just pull that frame a little bit away from the edge. And then I want to say it was maybe this third frame. So what I'm going to do is I just push all of these frames over at the same time. can. Sometimes it's easier said than done with the propolis that gets in there. But if I can push them all over at the same time without pushing into these. Okay, I'm gonna give it another puff of smoke here. And again, just puff right over the top without actually puffing down into the hive, and I just let the smoke waft down into there. Alright, I'm gonna go back to this frame, see if we can get a better picture of some of the eggs. I think that's the last thing I had here. So we talked about the bottom board, the hive bodies, the queen excluder, the lid and cover, and then the frames. And these are all full-size frames that I'm handling here. And this is a Langstroth hive. So these are frames for a Langstroth hive. And those are full-size frames, of course, for the full-size hive body. The queen, the workers, the drones, the brood, so larva, worker pupae, drone pupa, and the queen cell on a cup. So see, I think we got some pictures of eggs, but we'll try to get some better ones. And then the hive resources, so nectar, honey, pollen, and bee bread, propolis, and wax. So I think we've covered all of those things. So let me put the rubric back down for right now. And we'll go in, and I want to say this frame, I think, is the one that I could see eggs in. So let me get the sunlight shining on this so I can see down in there. Yeah. So, all right, bees. So if you look into some of these right in that area, there's one right. Let's see if I can see it here. Oops. I wish I could touch on the screen. Well, where'd that egg go?
If you find it and put your pointer on it,
All right, let me get back in the sun so I can. Okay, right in there. Oops. One of those right in there, there's an egg. Yeah, you can see it right there, inside of that cell. Right there is an egg, and the next one next to it and the one above it. So there's some eggs right there. So, I want to say that covers everything. So let's close this hive up.
take a
Last thing.
picture.
Yeah, maybe when we're... Oh, can you take a picture while you're doing the video? This bee's stuck to the propolis in my glove. Can you take the picture while you're doing the video?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me pull these frames back together. Put the missing frame back in. I like to keep the frames in the same order that I took them out of, so I usually will pull the second frame out and put it aside, and then stack all the frames up. If I hadn't have been going back to look at that one, I would have just pushed all of these back over all together. So the bees like to get right between the frames. Clear out of there. So I can pull that together. And this side, just pull that together. Very good. Very good. And then this frame just goes right back in. Just gently set it back down inside of there. And then push this one back over. Push this one back over. And then I usually like to make sure that all of these frames are all pushed together, and I leave a little bit of space on the outsides. Try to push on the thick part of the frame so they don't break the frame when I'm trying on them. So pushing on that part of the frame. And that bee seems to be, there it goes. All right. So that concludes the inspection. Just you can let it stay running until you get it all closed up. So now I'm going to just put it all back together again. Remove that frame helper, and then use a little bit of smoke just to kind of coax the bees to go back into, just to coax them to go back down into the hive. Get them off the top. And with that, I put the queen excluder on. Make sure it's nice and squared up. And then I put this super back on. Sure it's good and squared up. And it is. And then again, just taking a look at the honey stores that I have here. So we'll just pull this end frame out. Yeah, so there's really nothing in this one. Just wax. Just wax. So it's pretty empty, this one. At that, I usually run 9 frames in the supers. I like them to pull the cells out for the honey. It makes it easier to cut the cappings off, I think. So just make sure I've got a good spacing there. Here is more propolis. So all of this I'm scraping away right now. Propolis. And it's very sticky. Very sticky propolis. All right, so that's that. Let me just finish closing up this hive. And so for that, again, I just a little light smoking on the top. Kind of coax them back down into the hive, and then take the upper top, the inner cover, and go ahead and put that back into place. And with all this, it appears I have one angry bee. She's okay though. Once I've got this hive closed up, she'll forget about me, go back to her business. And with that, I put the telescoping cover back on. I usually like to square it up and push it all the way forward so that the vent is open. And I have bricks that I put on top, and that just keeps the wind from blowing the lid off. Gather up this propolis that we scraped off of here. And what was that other wood that I had? And I believe that is it. So again, this is Dave Wishart, and that was my apprentice level hive inspection. And thank you very much.